Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome into this week's edition of my top waiver wire ads and streamable defenses. We're in week 11. I'm assuming I got some repeat listeners, but as always, I like to make people feel welcome if in case this is their first video they're watching of mine. So what you're getting is in this first segment, I'm gonna give you guys my top waiver wire picks, the top quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and flex ad of the week. Now these are players that have to have at least 50% roster availability. So I am giving you guys names that should be out there for the most part, just depending on maybe one player I'm going to talk about. But let's just go ahead, dive right into this, and get this out there for you guys. My top quarterback out of the week. I don't necessarily love it, to be honest. But the quarterback market is very thin between all the injuries and buys right now. Maybe you can hope that somebody will drop a decent name. I know I am in one of my 14 team leagues because I'm not really loving the options that are out there right now. But if there was a name to maybe you could settle and stream with, I think it's going to be Marcus Mariota. He's available in 67% of the leagues. Now, this past week, he had a Mariota line. He had 186 yards, 2 touchdowns, and interceptions, and 3 rushes for 43 yards. Now, this week, they're going against the Bears. Now, the Bears, as far as quarterbacks in fantasy, they're only giving up 15.6 points per game to quarterbacks. That's right there in the middle of the pack of the NFL. But they're giving up the fourth most points per game to running backs. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning that, as I'm sure that you guys are very aware of, Marcus Mariota is more of a running back than a quarterback. Let's just be honest. So, with that being said, I can see this Falcons running game getting back on track against against those Bears, and then that can open up more rushing opportunities with read option type of plays for Mariota, where he can give you a higher floor this week with his rushing ability, assuming they take advantage of that. And then he's always good to maybe dice up a weaker defense of Chicago. We saw what the Lions did to them last week. So, listen, the options out there right now at quarterback are not the greatest. If you're looking for just a 1 week rental, I think Marcus Mariota will be worth the roll of the dice this week. My running back out of the week, it's a repeat name from last week, but apparently I didn't get you guys to add enough of him where he would hit the 50% threshold, so I have to do my job and tell you that he might be out there on your waiver wire. That's Rachaad White. He's only available in 56% of the leagues. The last game in Germany, he had the 22 rushes for 105 yards. Now, the last 2 games, he's had over 10 touches each game. Like I mentioned last week, it seemed like they were kind of gearing him up to potentially overtake Leonard Fournette and be that lead back in the Tampa Bay backfield. Now, they are in a bye, so if he's available, you're going to have to just put him on your bench. So, one thing I wouldn't note with him being on a bye week, so whenever you go to the waiver wire, most platforms default and they rank the players available by their projected points. So you want to make sure you put the search in for his name. I did put him in his searching for his name in all my leagues that I needed to add a running back this week, and he wasn't available. But Yahoo's telling me that he's available in 56% of the league, so I had to let you guys know that he might be out there, and go pick him up if he's available in your league. My wide receiver ad of the week, yes, the Packers rookie wide receiver finally has come on for that Aaron Rodgers passing attack in Green Bay. Christian Watson, he's available in 92% of the leagues. This past week, we all saw he had the 4 receptions for 107 yards and 3 touchdowns on 8 targets. And the thing why it's like I don't believe this is going to be like a 1 week like flash in a pan. Is he going to get you 3 touchdowns every week? No. But is he going to start seeing probably like that 7 to 10 target range and maybe even more than that? It's because look at this Packers passing attack. They've been waiting for somebody to take over and be that lead guy. Romeo Dobbs is still hurt with his ankle injury. We don't know if he's going to play on Thursday. So there's a pathway where if the season finishes out strong for Watson, he could easily lead in targets in this Green Bay passing attack. And the thing with these rookies, I say this every time with rookies, you got to be patient with them. Now, obviously, Watson never showed anything to be worthy to stick on your roster, but this is why sometimes if you're able to stash rookie wide receivers and rookie running backs, and even though they might not be producing at all, and you can just somehow keep them on your bench and deal with injuries and buys, this is when this starts to pay off because they start to get acclimated to the NFL speed of the game, and then they start actually helping out the offense in the back end of the year. I just always go back to, I mean, it's a different position, but I go back to Jonathan Taylor's rookie season, remember? Everybody was like, oh, he's not worth it, blah, 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 and like the first, month and a half, 2 months, and then he blew up and helped people win leagues that year. Now, this week, I think he's a good play too. On Thursday night, they are playing the Tennessee Titans. The Titans are allowing 26.3 points per game to wide receivers. That's the third most allowed. They just put Caleb Farley on the IR today, so one of their starting cornerbacks is going to be out of this game. So that could open up for another huge opportunity for Watson to have a ceiling type of performance in back-to-back weeks. My tight end ad of the week, I decided to go with Foster Moreau. He's available in 84% of the leagues. Now, if you guys are unaware of who Foster Moreau is, that is the backup tight end in Las Vegas for the Raiders. Obviously, if you guys have not heard by now, Darren Waller's on IR, so he's out for a minimum of 3 more games. So that's at least 3 weeks of opportunity for Foster Moreau. Now, this past week, he had 3 receptions for 43 yards, a touchdown on 4 targets. Now, you guys know I want to see more of a target load for him, but I will say this. Hunter Renfrow also got put on IR this past week, so he's out for a minimum of 3 weeks. So it's Devontae Adams in this passing attack, Mac Hollins, and Foster Moreau. And I could see Mac Hollins and Foster Moreau alternating as far as who's getting the second most targets in that offense. So I could see him becoming, at least getting, being like a low, I think he's probably more of a low-end tight end too, but if the opportunity presents it right, he can finish as a tight end 1 if he takes advantage of his targets. I just want to see more targets, but I think he's still worth an ad because also that Raiders defense stinks, and I think they're going to be throwing a lot going forward, so I think there's going to be more opportunities for him to get more of those targets. Now this week, they are going against the Broncos. They're allowing 7.2 points per game to tight ends. That's right there in the middle of the pack, but I mean, you're just rolling. I say this every week. You're just rolling the dice with tight ends at this point. My flex ad of the week. Yes, this is a guy I talked about a few weeks ago, and then when Matt Ryan got hurt/benched, his fantasy value completely plummeted. But now it's back up because the Colts put Matt Ryan back in the lineup, and that name is Paris Campbell. He's available in 82% of the leagues. This past week with Matt Ryan in the lineup, he had 7 receptions for 76 yards and a touchdown on 9 targets. Now, when you look at the last 3 games that Matt Ryan and Paris Campbell were on the same field, Campbell has gotten at least 9+ targets in those 3 games. You already know that I'm loving that. Usually I'm happy with a 7 to 8, bottom barrel, but when you get that 9+, 10+ targets each game, that's just more opportunity for yards and touchdowns. So I think Paris Campbell has skyrocketed back to being fantasy relevant. I'll say he's probably like wide receiver 3 right now, and then if he continues to see this, not only the targets, and he's turning it into that type of production, he's a wide receiver 2 that can give you a wide receiver 1 on any given weeks going forward, as long as Matt Ryan does remain as the starting quarterback. He is the starting quarterback going forward, but I'm saying if in case he gets hurt or anything like that. Now this week, a little bit of a tougher test for the wide receivers for the Colts. They are going against the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are only giving up 18.7 points per game to wide receivers. That's the 8th fewest in the NFL. So again, my quarterback out of the week, Marcus Mariota. My running back out of the week, Rachaad White. My wide receiver out of the week, Christian Watson. My tight end out of the week, Foster Moreau. And then my flex out of the week is going to be Paris Campbell. Moving into my top streamable defenses, as always, guys, these are defenses that have to have at least 50% roster availability, so I'm giving you some defenses that should be out there, even if when the waivers clear, some of these defenses might be out there for you to choose from. My number 1 defense, I'm going with those Washington Commanders who just upset the Eagles last night. They're going to be facing the Texans, so obviously they're going against the worst team in the league. That's going to be probably the best defense, best team to stream against going forward. The Commanders are available in 95% of the leagues. They have such a great defensive front, and guess who's coming back this week? Chase Young. So you got Chase Young, Montez Sweat, Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen against that really bad Texans offensive line. I could see them getting after Davis Mills and potentially forcing him into those turnovers, which he has been doing as of late. And that's why I think the Commanders are going to be the top defense to stream this week. My number 2 defense, I am going to go with the Raiders against the Broncos. The Raiders are available in 53% of the leagues. And the reason why is that Broncos offense stinks. If you guys watched my start sit video, And I was even talking with some friends this past weekend that I was hanging out with that I thought, Russell Wilson and the Broncos offense were going to turn it around. And, I have egg on my face after that. I have to admit that I was completely wrong. I don't know what's going on with that Broncos offense. It's a complete mess. They got a banged up offensive line. So I like the ability where Max Crosby can get those sacks, hopefully, on Russell Wilson. And I just, with how the Broncos offense has been, they're not scoring a lot of points, and then their offensive line's banged up, so there's those sacks, and then I don't know, I just don't know what's going on with Russell Wilson. So they're starting to look like a defense. An offense you can start trusting to stream your defenses against. My number 3 streamable defense, I'm going to go with the Bengals against the Steelers. The Bengals are available in 72% of the leagues. This is strictly because the Steelers don't have a great offensive line. So I like the fact that I think Trey Hendrickson and among Sam Hubbard and other DJ Reader's going to be back for that Bengals defense this week. That is huge for that Bengals defense, getting him back in the lineup. So I could see them giving that offensive front problems. And then you got Kenny Pickett. Pickett's obviously he's turned over the ball quite a bit in his rookie season. And going right to what I just said, he's a rookie quarterback, and rookie quarterback are prone to making those first-year mistakes as they get acclimated to the NFL. So with the offensive line versus that defensive front, in between a rookie quarterback, I can see sacks and turnovers happening. So that's why I would definitely consider playing the Cincinnati defense this week against Pittsburgh. My number 4 streamable defense, I am going to go with the Jets. Yes, the Jets, Jets defense against those New England Patriots. The Jets are available in 79% of the leagues. The Jets defense is why they've won so many of these games. It's playing really great, especially with Quinnen Williams. And then they're going against a New England offense, which has been pretty bad this season. The last time they played the Colts, and the only touchdown they got was from a block punt. And, so that's what I'm saying. Like, the offense is struggling to move the ball. They're not really putting up a lot of touchdowns. And then you got a Jets defense that's been playing great, right? They got a really good defensive front. And then you got Sauce Gardner back there. And among Jordan Whitehead, they got C.J. Mosley in the middle of the defense. They got some playmakers on all 3 levels of the ball. And that's why they've gotten to those 6 wins, is because of this defense underneath Robert Saleh. So between how their defense has played thus far this season, and then they're going against a offense that's been struggling, I'm willing to roll the dice on that if I need to play a defense like the Jets. So, again, they're available in 79% of the leagues. Now, my next defense is, guys, this is like a 14-team league, 14-team league stream. I don't expect you to go grab the Bears defense in a 10-team league, or it's definitely in an 18-team league. But if you are, there's no other options out there, you're not really liking what's out there because they're going against a really good offense, maybe consider the Bears. They're going against the Falcons. We just saw what the Panthers did against that Falcons offense last Thursday. They were sacking Mariota a lot, and there was those turnovers. There was, you can get a pick 6 off of him at any point. And, the Bears defense, I know I talk crap about them. They're not the greatest defense. But, when you squint, they got like Brisker in the back end, Jalen Johnson's guy in the secondary. Sometimes it's just more of like taking a chance on just a potentially bad offense that hasn't looked great over the last 2 weeks. So I may have contradicted myself with how I presented Mariota earlier, but sometimes when you get when you get a matchup of bad teams or like bad units against each other, chaos can happen, and it can go either way. For what I was talking about between Mariota and the Bears defense. So anyways, going over my top streamable defenses one last time. Commanders against the Texans, Raiders against the Broncos, Bengals against the Steelers, Jets against the Patriots, and then, like I said, if you need an extreme roll of the dice, the Bears against the Falcons. So yeah, that is today's top waiver wire ads and streamable defenses. If you enjoyed this video, as always, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please hit the subscribe button. Go tell a friend to check me out. And then, as I always like to say at the end of these videos, if you guys have any questions of guys you want to pick up off the waivers or defenses you're considering streaming, just get in my comment section. I'm always going to get back to you as soon as I can. You can get into my DMs on my social medias. Follow me at Cody Talks NFL. And then, as always, if you got my number, shoot me a text. I'll gladly get back to you when I can as well. But other than that, you guys will see me again on here Thursday morning with my top starts and sits for Week 11 of the NFL season. I hope you guys enjoy your day whenever you're watching this, or even night. I'll talk to you then. Peace out.